A CIA agent infiltrates Iran to carry out a secret mission, unexpectedly triggering a storm. He is besieged on all sides by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The Pakistani Joint Intelligence Agency and the Afghan Taliban are also pressing in. He even faces ruthless betrayal from former partners. In this life-and-death escape, allies can turn against him at any moment, and the escape route is riddled with political intrigue. How will this man break through the encirclement and launch a desperate counterattack to the very end? The story goes back to 1 week earlier, in the city of Qom, in northern Iran. Two network repair engineers from Switzerland are under the supervision of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They are carrying out maintenance and repair work on local network cables. Yet no one knows these two network engineers have a special identity. They are secret agents of the US CIA. The bearded engineer working underground is the famous detective Tom Harris. He is here because he has been assigned to infiltrate this military plant and destroy Iran's nuclear facility. Tom quickly cuts a blue data cable. He then takes out an infiltration device hidden inside the flashlight he brought along. He swiftly connects it to the severed data cable. The next second, a live feed of the Iranian nuclear facility appears clearly on the CIA's computer screen. After confirming that the hacking program has been successfully implanted, Tom quickly returns to the surface. A soldier sees this and immediately steps forward to ask if the repair work is complete, but the engineer in front of him remains silent. The soldier becomes angry, suspecting Tom is a spy, otherwise he would not have ignored his question. Colleague Oliver quickly steps in to mediate. Unexpectedly, Tom puts his hand into his pocket. This prompts the surrounding soldiers to instantly raise their guns in alert. In this chaotic region, such an action often signals drawing a weapon, and even Oliver does not know how to explain it. However, the next second, Tom takes a phone out of his pocket. He uses the 5-gram network to stream a soccer match for the soldier to watch. This proves the effectiveness of the repair work. Seeing that the network has indeed been fixed, the soldiers lower their guard and allow Tom and Oliver to leave safely. On the way, Tom notices someone following them and immediately sends a message to CIA headquarters, signaling that the operation is officially underway. Upon receiving the message, headquarters immediately orders the drone to stand by. Then, using the device Tom had installed, the network specialists successfully break through the firewall of the Iranian nuclear facility. They lock onto the target's exact location. They prepare to destroy it with precision. They first disable the centrifuge's alarm system, then implant the chosen virus into the main system through the data cable. According to plan, the chosen virus will fully infiltrate the system after 10 hours, and it will take another 12 hours for the centrifuge to completely collapse. By then, the centrifuge's output will increase significantly, causing an explosion that will destroy the entire nuclear facility. While the CIA is waiting for the virus to fully infiltrate Luna, an editor for the British newspaper, the Herald is recording the latest news segment. She declares that although U.S. forces have withdrawn from Afghanistan, secret operations are still taking place in certain areas, and the Herald will continue to monitor and report on them. However, just as the recording ends, Luna receives news from an informant. Inside is an encrypted document. After entering the password, as instructed, a series of photos of the Iranian nuclear facility appears on her computer screen. This is the very mission Tom had just carried out. Seeing this, Luna's eyes widen in shock. After hanging up with the informant, she immediately contacts her superior. She expresses her desire to publish this information on the front page. She wants to expose the crimes and conspiracies of the US CIA. In another development, Tom is packing his personal belongings, preparing to leave Iran. He wants to quickly return to the United States to attend his daughter's middle school graduation. Because of the dangerous nature of his work and his rare presence at home, his family has long voiced their complaints. His wife has even issued an ultimatum: either quit his job or get a divorce. But Tom has no interest in a peaceful life, so the family conflict has only deepened. An hour later, Mohammed, a relief worker from the Iranian Crescent, successfully passes customs under the pretext of drought relief aid. He smoothly enters the territory of the Islamic Emirates. This trip was arranged at the invitation of Roman, the CIA station chief in Dubai, who asked him to do some translation work. But is it really that simple? Mohammed is not certain and can only follow Roman's arrangements. Not long after, at 12 o'clock, the CIA's network specialists immediately activate the collapse program. Meanwhile, Iran has still not detected the cyber intrusion. 1 minute later, the temperature of the centrifuge suddenly rises to 800 degrees Celsius. The next second, a massive explosion erupts throughout the entire nuclear facility. A huge mushroom cloud rises into the sky. Tom lifts the binoculars in his hands, personally witnessing the scene. In the CIA headquarters command room, all staff members cheer and applaud to celebrate the mission's success. Shortly after the accident, the commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps arrives at the scene. He inspects the explosion site from a helicopter. The nuclear facility has been completely destroyed. Fortunately, most of the radiation is buried underground. Looking at the flames, still burning below the commander's face, is filled with barely concealed fury. He orders Colonel Dam, who is seated beside him, to capture alive the spy responsible for the sabotage. Regardless of whether the target is American or Israeli, once caught, they must be executed publicly. Dam then immediately reports to him that they have been monitoring Luna, a reporter for the Herald, and not long ago she received a set of classified documents. Inside is complete information about the CIA's activities in the Middle East. The high-ranking commander immediately authorizes Dam to resolve the matter at any cost. Meanwhile, after confirming the mission is complete, Tom hurriedly bids farewell to Oliver and prepares to head to the airport to fly back to the United States. At the same time, Pakistan's intelligence headquarters also obtains this information. Considering the geopolitical complexity with Iran, they decide to send Agent Kahil to investigate the person behind the Iranian nuclear facility explosion. This is both to show their stance and to respond to pressure from the United States. At this moment, Tom is already at the airport waiting for his flight, and of course, he also sees the news about the nuclear facility explosion. But as for the threats and warnings from the Iranian government, he is unconcerned. Instead, he is browsing for a gift for his daughter. Just then, Tom's phone unexpectedly receives an encrypted code. Reluctantly, his trip home has to be postponed. In another development, Iran quickly takes action. They send spies to break into Luna's home and abduct her. They then roughly throw her into a truck, preparing to escort her to the base of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. At the same time, Tom has left Iran and arrived in Dubai. The CIA has a secret base there, and the person in charge, Roman, is both his superior and a longtime close friend. Upon meeting, Tom reports on the mission. He expresses his intention to leave the CIA permanently. He wants to return to his family and save his marriage, which is on the brink of collapse. But unexpectedly, Roman assigns him a new mission. He explains that the mission is very simple. With Tom's abilities, it can be completed smoothly within 3 days. This ensures he will not miss his daughter's graduation. Roman then continues to promise that this will be the final mission, and once completed, the CIA will approve his departure. In addition, the payment for this mission is very generous enough to cover all of his daughter's future medical school tuition fees. Tom is immediately moved, and after thinking for a moment, he finally nods in agreement.
What's the job?
Here, melting Iran's shiny new toy was just the beginning. Langley wants a covert airstrip just across the Afghan border near Taybat. We're gonna go in there and destroy their whole nuclear program before they have the chance to build a big bomb. You'll insert here on the Afghan side in Iran.
Jesus. Iran is crawling with foreign spooks. And you can't get anybody else for this.
We don't want anybody else. All we know with you is not just all about the money.
All right.
The destination of this mission is the city of Herat in Afghanistan. The CIA has received intelligence from an informant stating that a terrorist organization is secretly preparing to build a nuclear bomb there. Tom needs to infiltrate Afghanistan from the Iranian border in secret and then drive to the city of Herat. To ensure the mission goes smoothly, Roman also arranges a translator for him, Mohammed, who had just been invited to Dubai not long before. After confirming the mission details and plan, Tom and Mohammed set off together. They cross the border and enter Afghanistan without incident, but the sight before them is chilling. Along the road, corpses hang everywhere. It is clear that the situation here is extremely dangerous. This area has long fallen under the control of the Taliban, and the air is filled with the stench of terror. In another development, the female editor Luna, who was taken to Iran, is now facing an interrogation by Colonel Dam. Although Luna repeatedly explains that she is not a spy, her captors refuse to let her go. To force her to talk, Dam even takes out photos of Luna's daughter to threaten her. Seeing this, her psychological defenses immediately collapse. Unfortunately, apart from some image files in the encrypted folder, Luna knows very little about the core situation and cannot provide much useful information.
Wait, please believe me. Please. You said I could go home.
You will. As a martyr.
At the same time, Tom and Mohammed take advantage of the night to reach a safe house on the outskirts of Kandehar. As soon as they enter, Tom quickly inspects the surroundings, then takes out the equipment he brought with him. Mohammed, seeing the gun and ammunition he produces immediately, turns pale, as this is completely beyond what he had expected. At that time, Roman had clearly only assigned him a simple translation job, but now it was obvious that things were not that simple. Even the slightest mistake could cost him his life. Tom also felt that Roman had not been entirely clear. He handed his phone to Mohammed and told him to call and talk. However, after hesitating for a moment, Mohammed ultimately gave up on the idea. Tom assumed he had understood, so he said nothing more. Unexpectedly, in the middle of the night while Tom was fast asleep, Mohammed quietly slipped out of the safe house. It turned out that this trip had another purpose for him: to find his wife's younger sister. She had been working as a teacher in the city of Harris, but not long ago she suddenly lost contact. This was an area controlled by the Taliban, and Mohammed suspected she had been taken by them. So under cover of night, he sought out an old acquaintance, hoping to find news about her. But the acquaintance knew nothing and even advised Mohammed to leave the area. However, leaving now was not so easy. The next day, the front page of the British newspaper, the Herald, directly exposed the CIA's dark operations in Iran. The report, rich in both images and text, not only published clear portraits of Tom and Oliver, it also revealed that editor Luna might have been secretly captured by Iran. Seeing that Tom's identity had been exposed, Roman quickly contacted him and told him to be ready to retreat at any moment. What was worse, Oliver was still in Iran. He had been assassinated and could no longer offer any help to Tom. Moreover now, it was not only Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the Pakistani Joint Intelligence Agency, and multiple other forces involved in the pursuit. The Taliban was also lurking in the shadows. The situation was extremely unfavorable for Tom. Roman decisively ordered the operation to be cancelled. He told Tom to stay put and wait for orders while he negotiated with headquarters before carrying out the next plan. Not long after, Roman's phone rings again. He informs Tom that headquarters has contacted Britain's MI6. 30 hours later, a military transport plane will land at the former CIA site on the outskirts of Kandehar, and Tom and Mohammed must arrive there on time. However, Roman also frankly admits that along the way, the CIA will only provide remote operational advice and will not offer any firepower support. Therefore, no matter what happens, they will have to handle it themselves. After hearing this, Tom has no complaints, as simply surviving and making it out now is already the greatest fortune. But he does not know that various forces have already begun to act. At this moment, the Iranian spies sent to Kandahar have secretly taken photos of Tom and delivered them to Colonel Dam. He immediately recognizes him as the man identical to the one in the news. After confirming that the mastermind is still in Afghanistan, Iran quickly forms a special task force to capture Tom. Their conversation is directly intercepted by the Pakistani Joint Intelligence Agency. Upon learning Tom's location, the agency immediately informs Agent Kahil to board a helicopter to Afghanistan to arrest Tom before the Iranian forces can. On the way to the target, Kahil contacts an armed leader in Afghanistan, requesting him to send men to intercept Tom. Unexpectedly, the leader replies that the Iranian military has already acted, first found them, and paid a considerable reward. Hearing this, Kahil laughs and makes an offer. As long as the leader can complete this job, the Joint Intelligence Agency will back him to become chairman of the military committee. This temptation is far greater than money, and the leader immediately agrees. At this moment, Tom remains completely unaware of all this. With the CIA's remote assistance, they leave the safe house without incident, heading toward Roman's extraction point. But shortly after they start driving, Tom notices they are being followed. Fortunately, he reacts quickly, swerving straight into a bustling roadside market, and then taking advantage of the situation to steal a nearby pickup truck. However, this plan is soon discovered by those tailing him, who quickly turn their vehicle around and continue the chase. What's worse, the market exit is jammed with traffic, forcing Tom to stop the vehicle helplessly and wait. Colonel Dam, following behind immediately, gets out of his car, preparing to capture Tom and Mohammed alive. But as he carefully approaches, Tom makes a mistake in his haste. He accidentally bumps into the car in front. The driver, grumbling, gets out to inspect the damage repeatedly, saying he will call the police. Realizing that waiting any longer would surely cause trouble, Tom decisively slams the gas pedal. He speeds into a narrow side street, intending to create chaos to escape the market. But unexpectedly at that moment, Kahil appears on a black motorcycle, chasing right behind the fleeing pickup truck. Seeing this, Dam instantly realizes someone is trying to steal his prize, and he quickly signals his subordinates to join him in pursuit. However, before they can catch up, Kahil suddenly pulls out a remote control, and without saying a word, presses the button. By the time Dam reacts, it is too late. A deafening explosion erupts, and his two subordinates still in their vehicle are blown up on the spot. Taking advantage of the situation, Tom hits the gas and flees the scene. But the joy does not last long. Just as they reach the outskirts, they are blocked by an armed group sent by Kahil. Wasting no time, Tom rams straight through the blocking vehicle and continues driving at full speed. Kahil follows on his motorcycle. When he sees that his hired men have failed to stop the pickup, he immediately turns onto another road. He attempts to cut Tom off by taking a shortcut. Not long after, the pickup finally enters the mountainous area, but at that moment the tire suddenly bursts. Tom signals Mohammed to replace it with the spare while he draws his weapon and keeps watch. However, the road is too dangerous, and Mohammed cannot stop trembling, unable to hold the tire-changing tool steady. Tom has no choice but to tell him to drink some water to calm down. Unexpectedly, the next second, Mohammed picks up his luggage and walks away. Before Tom can ask the reason, a gunshot suddenly rings out from behind. He quickly turns and returns fire. As for Mohammed, who had just been acting brave moments ago, he is now terrified, cowering behind the vehicle. With his exceptional eyesight, Mohammed quickly spots a figure in the distance. He hurriedly stops Tom from continuing to shoot, saying that the person opposite is only a boy. Sure enough, moments later, a young child emerges from behind the bushes, throws out a phone-shaped remote control, and runs away in panic. After confirming that the danger is temporarily over, Tom once again invites Mohammed to go with him. Since he was the one who brought Mohammed into this dangerous place, he feels responsible for getting him safely back to his country. But Mohammed still has deep mistrust toward him. With no other choice, Tom reveals his true identity, frankly admitting that he was the one who caused the Iranian nuclear facility explosion. He goes on to explain that the CIA cannot come to pick them up, so if Mohammed wants to get home safely, he must follow him to Kandahar. At this point, Mohammed also clearly understands the situation, so he gives up the idea of acting alone. Tom then steps forward and picks up the remote control the boy had thrown away. Unexpectedly, as soon as he presses the button, an explosion occurs on the road, not far from the pickup truck. It is clear that someone had planted a bomb on this road beforehand. Mohammed is instantly terrified. Just one more step forward, and they would have lost their lives. At this moment, Tom also realizes that escaping without a gun is completely unwise. He decides to contact a local military official he had previously worked with, intending to borrow a helicopter to speed up their escape. He then sends a message to Roman to report this idea. Once Mohammed finishes changing the tire, the two head toward Delaram. In another development, Kahil, who is also in pursuit, encounters the same boy. Curious, he stops and asks why the boy is here, since in this desert area there are almost no signs of human activity. Unexpectedly, the boy is not afraid at all. Instead, he claims he knows how to make explosives and weapons, vowing to defend peace on this road to the death. Hearing this, Kahil takes out a photo of Tom and asks if the boy has seen him. To his surprise, the boy gives him good news. Learning that the pickup is heading toward Delaram, Kahil immediately steps on the gas and speeds after it. Meanwhile, Tom is gripping the steering wheel tightly, his foot pressing the accelerator almost to the floor. The pickup bounces wildly over the rough road, its tires grinding against the dry ground and kicking up clouds of golden dust into the air. After what feels like an eternity, they finally return to paved road. Tom still has no intention of slowing down. In his eyes, there is only the endless horizon ahead. The night fell, but they still didn't dare to stop and rest. Instead, with night vision goggles to travel onward. Unfortunately, not long after, they are locked onto by an armed helicopter. The one arriving is none other than Colonel Dam, whom they had shaken off earlier. After confirming that the target he is looking for is inside the vehicle, he immediately gives the order to open fire. Tom reacts instantly. He tells Mohammed to take the wheel and keep driving forward. Meanwhile, he grabs an automatic rifle and fires wildly at the helicopter overhead. A precise shot hits the pilot, forcing the helicopter to gain altitude and temporarily slow its attack. Taking advantage of this brief respite, Tom quickly tells Mohammed to cut the engine and stop the vehicle. He then signals him to run while he stays behind to buy time. But by now, Mohammed is terrified and has no idea which direction to run. Tom impatiently urges him, saying that as long as he can get out of here, it doesn't matter where he goes. Tom then quickly takes cover behind the vehicle, avoiding the first burst of gunfire from the helicopter. Seeing this, two gunners disembark from the helicopter. They move to surround Tom from different directions, while the helicopter circles overhead, awaiting orders and ready to provide fire support at any moment. With the aid of night vision goggles, Tom can clearly track their every movement. He seizes the right moment and decisively shoots one of them, then swiftly moves to the boulder where Mohammed is hiding. The helicopter immediately pursues them and opens fire, but fortunately, neither of them is hit. Taking advantage of the helicopter circling away, Tom once again aims at the remaining gunman on the ground. He calmly pulls the trigger, taking him out. After confirming that the entire ground assault team has been eliminated, Tom quickly reloads his automatic rifle and then pulls out a grenade. Although it may sound unbelievable, Tom actually manages to use an AK and a grenade to bring down an armed helicopter. He kills Colonel Dam in the process. However, even though the danger has been eliminated, their vehicle is destroyed in the fierce exchange of fire. Tom and Mohammed are left with no choice but to continue their journey on foot. Worse still, after this unexpected incident, the CIA's satellites lose track of them. Now they are completely isolated, with no one to assist them. Fortunately, after a night of urgent marching, Tom and Mohammed finally reach a Tajikistan military base the following day. The commander there, named Batu, is an old friend of Tom's. He sends an armed team to escort them, and before long they arrive safely at the base. Batu warmly welcomes them, but when Tom explains the purpose of his trip, Batu regretfully tells him that their helicopter has just been taken by the Taliban. If Tom needs transportation urgently, he can offer a truck, which would take only 3 hours to drive to Kandehar. Something is better than nothing, so Tom naturally does not refuse. At that moment, Mohammed suddenly recognizes the Tajik military officer in front of him as the butcher who had massacred thousands of innocent civilians years ago. His own son had died tragically at the man's hands. Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, Batu immediately pulls out a gun and hands it to Mohammed, signaling for him to take revenge for his son personally. But once a shot is fired, they will certainly not be able to leave alive. Not wanting to implicate Tom, Mohammed wrestles with his emotions in intense inner turmoil, and in the end, he heavily chooses to let go, giving up this rare chance for revenge. The two then continue their journey in the truck provided by Batu. What Tom does not know is that after they leave, Batu immediately turns around. He sells information about their route at a high price to the Pakistani Joint Intelligence Agency. For warlords who dominate a region like him, how could past friendship compare to the tangible money in front of them? After receiving the information from Batu, the Joint Intelligence Agency immediately relays it to Kandehar. 6 hours later, a military armed helicopter will arrive in Kandehar to take Tom and Mohammed away. Hearing this, Kandehar immediately promises, "I will definitely complete the mission." At the same time, he requests that after the mission is over, he be assigned to work in European and American countries. The commander agrees on the spot without hesitation, then immediately informs the military forces he has bribed. They will intercept the target on the route Tom is certain to take. As a result, as soon as the truck enters a stretch of desert road, it is surrounded tightly by an armed group. Tom angrily slams the steering wheel, but seeing their overwhelming numbers, he sensibly chooses to give up resistance. In this way, Tom and Mohammed are captured without trouble and taken to the armed base of Russo, where Tom endures brutal torture. However, at that moment, a group of Islamic State fighters suddenly appears outside the base, seemingly preparing to snatch him from Russo's hands. The next second, without a word, both sides erupt into fierce combat. In the end, the Islamic State armed group successfully storms the base. A black-clad masked man charges straight into the building. Tom initially thinks it is yet another force trying to capture him, but to his surprise, the man turns out to be Roman. It turns out the force that had just fought Russo was not actually Islamic State fighters but Roman and another local warlord in disguise. The purpose of this ruse was to be able to legitimately use heavy firepower in this territory. After successfully rescuing Tom, the two of them quickly find Mohammed as well. Seeing that he is still alive, they swiftly get into a pickup truck, preparing to withdraw quietly toward the rear of the base. But they do not know that Kandehar already knows their destination. Realizing the situation can no longer be reversed, Kandehar decisively signals Russo to head for Kandehar, where there is an old CIA base. As a result, not long after Tom and his companions set off, Kandehar leads his men in a direct assault. The two sides engage in a tense life-or-death chase across the desert. During the fierce exchange of fire, Roman is unfortunately shot in the abdomen, blood gushing from the wound. With only 5 minutes of driving left to reach the extraction point, Tom keeps signaling to Roman to hold on, they will be home soon. But unexpectedly, Roman gives him a bright smile, then decisively pulls the door open and jumps from the speeding pickup truck. He intends to confront Kandehar alone to buy Tom and Mohammed more time to escape, but the strength of one man is like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Once all his ammunition is spent, the enemy simply drives straight over him, crushing his head. Witnessing his close friend's gruesome death, Tom is overwhelmed with grief. But he cannot allow himself to sink into sorrow. He immediately drives straight toward the airport. Meanwhile, Kandehar also switches to a motorcycle to continue the pursuit. Upon reaching a high point, he immediately directs an artillery unit that has been lying in ambush to unleash heavy fire on the road ahead of Tom's vehicle. He orders everyone to stop Tom from reaching the extraction point arranged by the Americans at any cost. Fortunately, thanks to his exceptional driving skills, Tom skillfully evades every incoming shell. At the same time, the British aircraft is preparing to land. But the bad news is that CIA headquarters, watching via satellite imagery, sees a large number of Taliban fighters converging on the pickup point. They are attempting to temporarily block Tom and Mohammed from entering the airfield. With the gate of the old base already within reach, the next second, a blast sends dust and smoke into the air, obscuring the view of the scene. Kahil immediately orders the Taliban fighters to hold their positions while he rides his motorcycle forward to capture Tom alive. But unexpectedly, the violent explosion knocks him unconscious. Tom struggles to crawl out of the mangled vehicle. Seeing Kahil charging toward him, he immediately picks up his gun and advances on the enemy. The two exchange gunfire, and in the end, Tom, with his superior skills, succeeds in taking Kahil down. But the danger is far from over. With Kahil's fall, the Taliban fighters spring into action, and countless pickup trucks speed toward Tom. Knowing that resistance would not change the outcome, Tom slowly walks over to Mohammed to say his final goodbye. This scene is witnessed by the CIA director, whose heart is deeply moved. Learning that the drone is armed with missiles, he disregards the objections of his colleagues and orders an immediate strike. He says that even if he is fired, he cannot stand by and watch his own men die like this. Thus, just as Tom is ready to face death, a barrage of artillery shells suddenly rains down on the Taliban vehicles, destroying them all. Tom reacts instantly, rushing to support the severely injured Mohammed. The two help each other into an armored vehicle, slam the accelerator, smash through the base gate, and race into the airfield. They successfully link up with the British forces sent to extract them. Together they board the plane, and in this moment the anxiety weighing on their hearts is finally lifted. But Agent Oliver, who had carried out the mission alongside Tom and Roman, who had once fought by his side, will forever remain in this desolate land. They will never be able to return home. Here the film ends. Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, please give me a like and a subscribe.